Good evening, councillors and members in the public gallery. I will officially open this evening's ordinary council meeting at 7:02 p.m. Thank you for your attendance tonight. I'd like to remind everyone in the chambers to ensure that comments are respectful to the council and all meeting attendees, including city officers and those in our public gallery. Please note this meeting is being live streamed. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Item 3 is announcements from the presiding member, and there are none this evening. Item 4 is attendance, and all councillors are present in the chamber. Applications for leave of absence. Anyone wish to apply for leave? No. Item 5 is disclosures of interest. Any interest, councillors? Councillor Sazowski.
My interest is for item 10.3.2, Verge tree removal request, Elstead Way, Morley. I know one of the deputies, Mr. Farina, personally for many decades, and I've known him also through my role as a councillor. It's an impartial interest, always staying in the room.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Sutherland.
Yeah, I'd like to just ditto that one because I know the applicant for the tree removal, 10.3.2. I know the applicant, it's impartial and I'll stay in the room.
Thank you. Anyone else? No, we'll now move on to item 6, public question time. So, councillors, the city has received questions in writing from 2 members of the public. The questions and responses are listed in your run sheet and I will take those as read. The questions and responses are also available on the city's website and will be provided in the minutes of this meeting. Members of the gallery, I'll first call for questions on items on this evening's agenda, and then I will open to questions on items not on the agenda. Please provide your name and suburb before you ask your question, and please keep in mind that you are limited to 3 questions. So, does anyone have questions on an item on this evening's agenda? No. Anyone have an item not on the agenda? Please come forward.
Aileen O'Rourke, Bayswater. I just want to hark back to the annual general meeting in 2024 where Rhiannon Italiano brought up the idea of a tree champion program. The motion passed, and when it went to council, the office's recommendation was to explore the creation of a tree champion program that will incorporate members of the city's efforts to increase canopy cover, community efforts, and the second was to provide a report with recommendations to the September 224 council meeting. We're sort of exploring this issue again, and we'll be approaching council about it, but I couldn't find any report. Now, I don't know whether that's my bad searching techniques or whether it's something that didn't happen. So I just wanted to know if there is a report, if there was a report to council.
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the CEO.
So through you, Madam Mayor, I'm not aware of those specific details, but I'll take it on notice and I'll go back and have a look and be able to provide you with a response to those 2 questions.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Please come forward.
Harry Bazitas, Naranda. At the July Ordinary Council meeting, I asked several questions regarding the proposed divestment of 2.1 hectares of land at Watton Reserve to the Pelagri Group for $1. The questions included: who will pay for the upkeep of the A-grade playing surface? What will be the projected annual cost of maintaining this playing field? Who will legally own and control the club rooms and sporting facilities? What would be the divested land title structure, in other words, green title or strata? And what would the future of the Morley Windmills Club look like? I was told that the discussions were still ongoing. A month on, Could you please now add clarity to my previous questions?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the CEO.
Thank you.
So through you, Madam Mayor, those negotiations and discussions are still ongoing. Our aim is to bring it to the September Ordinary Council meeting, where the administration report will address all of those issues that you've raised. So September, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Could you give me a time frame about the ongoing discussions?
So the CEO said a report will be coming to the September
Okay.
meeting.
Could my question then be taken on notice, and could I be notified in writing as when these questions can be answered?
I'll go to the CEO.
Yeah, so through you, Madam Mayor, as I advised previously, we are bringing an item to the September council meeting. So the issues that you have raised will be addressed in there, and that will be at the September council meeting. So your responses will be provided in the council report for that. I'm
Okay.
sure all your concerns will be addressed in that report.
Oh, thanks very much. Will that be in the next agenda? All this information in the next agenda?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, it will.
Will? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anyone else have a question? Please come forward.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, councillors and city officers. Dan West, Kenilworth Street, Maylands. I've got a few questions in regards to the proposed petrol station development at 321 Guildford Road. In particular, I was wanting to understand, under the proposed local planning scheme 25, would the proposed development be a permitted use under that proposed scheme?
Thank you for your question. My understanding is yes. However, I will go to the director to respond because I'm not 100% sure.
Sure.
Thanks, Madam Mayor, for the question. That is my understanding. However, it should be understood that council has resolved to initiate it, and it needs to be approved from the state government to advertise. And so there's still a long way to go before that is finalised.
I've got a follow-up question on that one. What activity is the city undertaking to expedite approval of local planning scheme 25?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. City officers have been working with officers from the Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage, who are responsible to produce a report to the Statutory Planning Committee, and we've been working to answer their questions. And we anticipate it to go into to be considered in the short term, and we've been putting pressure on the officers to make that happen as soon as possible.
Thank you. One last question. We saw what a material impact the community-funded traffic impact assessment had at the last hearing of JDAP in relation to the proposed petrol station development at 321 Guildford Road. Will the city commit to commissioning independent consultants or experts to draft responses documenting the negative health and environmental impact of the proposed development as part of its submission to JDAP?
Thank you. I'll go to the director.
I may have to take part of that on notice. Okay, thanks. Yeah, Madam Mayor, Adrian Danella.
Okay.
Thank you. Through the chair. The city is required to prepare a responsible authority report that's scheduled to be submitted sometime in September. The answer to your question is no. The information that's received from the applicant will be assessed, as well as any of those that were received through the public consultation period, and a report outlining the recommendation will be provided detailing those concerns with regarding traffic. Does that answer your question?
So it will be addressed internally?
No, so we're required to prepare a responsible authority report for the JDAP to consider the item, and that will be for the end of September.
But I think in answer to the question, you won't be engaging independent experts to support that?
We don't need to. That's not standard process. So our city's engineers and our health department have looked at the proposal, including the Department of Health as well, and they'll be documented in the responsible authority report.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Please come forward.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sandra Tift. I also live in 11 Kenilworth Street. In 2022-2023, the Kenilworth Street, Derby Street intersection was part of the Safe Roads to School implementation plan. based that the intersection is on a lower point, the only secure way to cross is a substandard median strip, probably around 100 meters further to Bayswater. Unfortunately, I haven't seen kids from the cluster of social housings living at the end of Kenilworth Street towards Wortley Crescent are using that median strip. And the fuel stations to driveway would be on the way to the median strip itself. I haven't seen anything which mentioned the median strip in the last ATAC minutes. Is that something that will be followed up? And additionally, in the last JDEP meeting, the transport manager has mentioned that that would be one of the points considered for the signalized crossing. Is that something that still goes forward, and will anything happen to the next JDEP meeting?
Thank you for your question. I'll have to go to the director to respond.
I'd have to take that on notice, Madam Mayor.
We'll get back to you with a response. We'll take that on notice.
Okay, do I have to leave any details, or how would that work?
We'll come and get the details.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Come forward, please.
Good evening, Mayor, councillors, directors, whoever. Look, I've got a concern. I've got a contract.
If you could just state your name and suburb.
Oh, sorry, Carmen Zollo, 23 Driscoll Way, Morley. I've got an installation happening in a couple of months' time, and I've got a notice from the contractor about the Verge bond. And I've only made a couple of phone calls, but and I asked the question in the phone calls if the amount of the Verge bond is known. No. So my guess is that most of you, if anyone, except two people, will know how much the Verge bond is. $2,505. Now, $2,300 of that will be refundable, all being good, of course. So, being a ratepayer for, I don't know, 36 years or something, last time I paid a Verge bond, circa 2011, 2010, was $400. So 6.5 times today, 15 years later, is what the Verge bond is now. But drive around Morley, right, and I'll tell you right now, City of Bayswater has the worst verges and curbs in the state.
Mr. Zolo, I will ask you to get to your question, please.
Yep, sure, but I just need to give you a little bit of information first for the benefit of everybody here, including the good people behind me. 6.5 times. Now, I don't know what my house was worth then, probably about 250, 300,000, right? So my house is not worth $2 million today, okay? It's probably going to, actually, thanks to the federal government and other politicians, you know, and maybe state, they'll put their hands in, and make local government will do the same as well. You all take a turn. It won't be worth probably what it is worth now in 12 months' time, but nonetheless, it's not worth $2 million. So why is the Verge bond $2,505 when our verges are not worth diddly squat, except for those residents who look after their verges at their own cost, unless, of course, council is perhaps maintaining people's verges, not maintaining mine, because council's never maintained my verges. I've only had 2 curb replacements. One I paid for. Second was just I had to complain because part of the street was getting new verges, a new verge, and the rest of the street wasn't. But drive around Morley, Bayswater, whatever, the City of Bayswater, and have a look at our curbs.
Mr. Zolo, thank you
Shocking.
for your question.
Well, okay,
I'd be really happy to take a drive with you
Yeah.
and drive around the city of Bayswater as well as some of our neighbouring
Yeah.
cities because I'm very proud
Good-o.
of the infrastructure we have in
Yeah.
the city of Bayswater. So I'm happy
Glad you are.
to organise
not.
a time with you that
Yeah.
we could go for a drive together and I can, we can have a look together at
More-
your concerns.
more importantly,
so on
I'd
that,
like
I will now go to the director to answer your question about the cost of the Verge
Well,
bond.
I have more questions.
We'll do one at a time.
Okay. This will be good.
Through the chair, so the Verge bond is actually part of the city's fees and charges. It is refundable, so we take that bond as security for when there's works that occur on that verge. So if there's an adjoining property, there's any works that occur, it is to protect that verge, and it's taken as security in case there's any damage that we could then go and get those repairs done to the infrastructure and to those verges.
Yeah.
It is refundable. Part of it is kept, so it's about $200 odd. Can't remember the exact figure.
205.
$205.
I told you that. Yeah.
So that covers officers' time to go and take photos and do the inspection. So there's an inspection that's undertaken at the start before the works commence, and one undertaken at the end, and then we determine.
Officers' time, a already paid employee. It's not an additional cost. It's something that they're getting paid for. That instead of sitting at the desk, they're just going out for a drive.
Mr. Zolo, this is public question time. It's not a debate between yourself and the directors. He's responded to the question.
Yep.
What is your second question?
My first question, why is it so high? It didn't get answered.
Would you like to elaborate?
So the cost is actually determined in terms of repair works. I mean, costs do go up. Construction costs have gone up, and this figure is actually reviewed every year with the council, and it has gone up because costs have gone up, and we need to have enough security there that if something does get damaged, that we can go and repair that with the money that's being held.
How much is a metre of curb to repair? How much does it cost?
So that's your second question. I'll go to the director to respond.
I won't have that figure off the top of my head, and depending on how much curb is damaged, the rates change. So depending on how long a section's done, the more you do, the cheaper it is. The less you do, the more expensive it is because you've got to mobilise contractors to site. But in terms of the exact figure, I can take that on notice and I can provide you what the contract rates are.
Okay. So say on average, property's verge span is about, 15, well, there's a driveway, but let's say it's 15, 16 metres, right? So what happens, like, to a good ratepayer or resident's verge, right, where it's got 15 or 16 metres, there's a crack every 30 centimetres, right? So they pay their verge bond. The officer comes and duly marks and photographs and does all that. Fantastic. The work's all done. They come back, they check it again. Oh, no damage was done, right? So what? The curb's still crap. Never got changed from 1960 when it was put down, except from some small pockets here and there. Like I'm lucky in my street, I guess. But still, and then how about if there is some damage and they repair one? I've seen it, and they repair that one crack that was damaged, or they repair a metre, and the other 14 metres stays crap. So now there's 15 metres of crap verge plus a little patch section. Really? 2026. Most of these curbs got put down in 1960. 66 years later, and the good resident and ratepayers got to fork out of their pocket $2,505. Thank you very much. Oh, and I should be gracious because I'm going to get my $2,300 back, right? But I've still paid $205 for someone that I already pay, right, to be employed by the city to come and have a look at my curb. I'll take the picture, give me my full refund back. Top of that, how about giving me interest for the time that you held my money for and for the inconvenience of giving you the money?
Do you have a question?
Yep. What's the City of Bayswater? What are my good councillors here going to do for the city of, for the ratepayers and residents for the City of Bayswater on this level? The last time I was in here, I found out that a developer got approval to develop a 9-unit joint with NDIS money, thank you very much, right? Only to turn the tables
Mr.
later
Zollo,
on.
Mr.
And,
Zollo,
and
this
then the
isn't-
school had to
excuse
defend
me,
itself. No, excuse me.
No,
To, they had to
Mr.
defend
Zollo,
itself.
I'm going to stop you there
This is
because
ridiculous.
you're going above and beyond what this
Yeah,
is
I know.
allocated
I'd like to see the
time
council
for.
do that.
If you would like to have a meeting with myself and the CEO to discuss any concerns
Yep.
across the city, our doors are always open. You haven't
Righto.
reached out to me in years for anything, and I have been a North Ward councillor and the mayor. My door is always open. You're very welcome to come and have a meeting with us, and we were very happy to address whatever your concerns are. Right now at public question time, you're welcome to ask 3 questions. You're not welcome to continue as you've been going. So please, if you have another question, please ask it and we will address it. Otherwise, I'm going to end public question time.
Fair enough. I just get very annoyed when I just see ridiculous written all over something. And, you know, $2,500 for crap verges, that's ridiculous.
We've heard that. Thank
the last
you.
time I was here, that scenario was ridiculous. How often does this happen? I should come more often and find out
You're
how much
very
ridiculousness
welcome.
there is in the city of Bayswater, or
You're
not.
very welcome to come to every
Thank
meeting.
you for your time. Appreciate it.
Can I come up before you close?
Yes.
Harvey Tonkin, Noranda. Just a couple of questions. A couple of meetings back, someone asked a question about development on the Camboon Road, the old garden centre. And from memory, the advice was there was nothing happening or no approval. And I drove past, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks later and there's construction. I just wondered, can people do construction without communicating with the council? It's just a
So
general
I'm
question.
not sure. Thank you for your question. I'm not sure if they said there was no approvals. I think
the indication
it
I
might
got.
have been no, because there was definitely approvals.
Okay.
Because I posted about
All
that
right.
years ago that a childcare centre had been approved at that site.
Okay, that's
so
all right.
Perhaps the answer wasn't that there was no approvals. Maybe there was no updates on the site. But I will go to the director to give more information.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, there is a development approval in place for a childcare centre on that site, and that's been in place since 2023, I believe it was.
Okay. No, it
And
was, yeah.
Most
I'll have to clean out my other ear.
But
Now-
the update, if I can finish, is just
All right.
that more recently we have had a building permit come through for the site, and the building permit is generally received prior to the construction, which is the works that you may be seeing on site.
Yes, thank you. And the second question I've got is, do the rangers supervise the disabled parking bays wherever they're located?
You mean all disabled parking
Well,
bays?
they won't do it on
Because
private property,
no.
but on council land or...
I'll go to the director.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. The answer is yes, and we do have some private parking arrangements where those bays are also monitored and enforced.
Okay. If they do, is there any criteria by which they penalise people? What I'm trying to find out is, I had a case quite a few years back near Bank West. They used to have 3 parking bays disabled, and I was standing with a ranger and he wouldn't penalise the person that was parked, who was parked 1 car over 2. So I've always wondered, you know, does someone have to get out? Like, do they have a criteria in which they penalise people?
Thank you
And
for
can
your-
I get a copy of it?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So yes, there is. We have to prove, and that has to stand up should it ever be challenged in court. So we have to collect evidence. We need to make sure that there's clear signage, that the markings on the ground are legible. We look to see if there's a permit displayed or not. So those are the things that we collect evidence for and will consider when we do come across a potential non-compliance.
Is it possible to get a copy of that? Is it written into a document that they work on, or?
I'll go to the director.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, it's in our local laws, so that's publicly available. We can provide it directly.
All right. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you. I'll now close public question time. So we move on to item 7.1, confirmation of minutes. Do I have a mover and seconder to confirm the minutes of the ordinary council meeting of the 28th of July 2026? Move Councillor Loiacono, seconded Councillor Ostaszewski. All those in favour? That is unanimous from those in the room. Item 8 is presentations. Does any councillor have a petition to table? No. No presentations and deputations were heard at last week's agenda briefing forum, and there are no delegate reports this evening. Item 9 is method of dealing with agenda business, and Councillor Latta, you're pulling first this evening. No? Councillor Sutherland?
Oh, just 10.3.2 and...
Sorry, just...
No, that's it.
Okay. Councillor Pittaway?
Yeah, just the 10.1.1, the dog amendment, local law.
Councillor Ostaszewski?
Nothing, thank you.
Councillor Loiacono? Councillor McDonald? Councillor Black?
10.3.1, Drake Street Traffic Management. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor? Okay, so that's everyone. So we'll move to consideration of the reports in section 10. Can I have a mover and seconder to bring forward items 10.3.1 and 10.3.2, which were subject to deputations? Move Councillor Loiacono, seconded Councillor Latta. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Okay, so we begin with 10.3.1, Drake Street Traffic Management. Councillor Black, you've pulled this one.
Yes, moving the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Seconded Councillor Ostaszewski. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll keep my comments a little brief because I believe that the proponent of the petition has also provided a deputation in support of the officer's recommendation as well. I will point a few things that have come through the officer's comments, but also the deputation as well. I think it's good to see some temporary measures that have been considered by the city and recommended by the city as well for the 2 sets of temporary rubber speed cushions. This street here has seen, I believe, an uptick of traffic since the very popular Bayswater Hotel has commenced operations there. And of course, during the time of the Metronet development as well, it was unfortunately saw a lot of traffic go through due to some of the closure of the roads there. I can see that the applicant through the petition is in support of this, but as a temporary measure, while longer-term pedestrian and parking improvements continue to be explored. And I support that as well. And I'd be interested to see how that data from the LCIRS program comes through and seeing how the traffic data influences how the city approaches this in the future. There's something as well in the report that I just want to highlight, and it refers to a standard pram ramp crossing currently installed at the Beachborough Road South and Burnside, and in particular Beachborough Road South side of Drake Street. I bring this up as well because it's also mentioned in the deputation from Mr. Rogers as well. It remains a difficult crossing location, and this is from the deputation. It remains a difficult crossing location due to the offset nature of the intersection, vehicle movements, and current road geometry. And I can very much attest to that. It's a very difficult road to cross. By Google Map measurements, and I know this is not exact, so please forgive me, each of the crossing there from the edge of the curve to the island there is 8 metres. Now, to put that in perspective, that's around a standard road, local road size for 2 lanes. And so people are trying to cross essentially 2 lanes to get to at least a safe point on the intersection there. Which doesn't sound too bad, but when you consider that there are 3 ways that cars can enter into that crossing intersection there. One of them is from going northbound on Railway Parade with a shallow angle turn, which I know cars do not slow down for. As someone who has pushed a pram in that area, they do not necessarily look at who's crossing the road. It is a shallow angle and they do tend to go, unfortunately, at a little bit of speed. I think maybe a little bit over 40 k's for some
who choose to go a little bit faster there, but it does feel like they're not necessarily looking at who's crossing at that road. There's also cars coming from the other side there from via the Railway Parade where they turn right and immediately take an immediate left there onto Drake Street. It's not evident for those crossing the road that movement is occurring from vehicles. On top of that as well, you are experiencing right-hand turns southbound from Beachborough Road South onto that road. And I bring this up because it is mentioned in the report of how that is an accessible crossing for pedestrians there, but it's not, I wouldn't say the safest crossing, especially for those who require walking assistance or have prams, or we do have aged care down the road there which may access that crossing. It's not the safest crossing to make, and I think as part of this look on Drake Street in the future when we consider further action there, and the Deputy has also mentioned this as well, I think we do need to look at that intersection as well and see how it is improved. It is part of that town centre redevelopment area. It's shown there because there is different paving there that continues from the Metronet station. And we want to make our town centre areas to be the most inviting as possible for pedestrians. We do want to put them first when it comes to people exploring our city. We do have, like as I said, the hotel being redeveloped. We do have a new development that's been approved down the road at 16 to 20 Beachborough Road South, and we do still have that aged care facility there. We do need to consider who's using these roads and who's trying to cross to get to, for example, a new GP there as well. And I bring this up because it's important for the city to continue advocating through to main roads that we do want to see safer movements through our streets, in particular Drake Street, where residents have raised these concerns, not just on the Wombat crossing further down near Halliday Park, but also where they have expressed those concerns further down that crossing near Beachborough Road South. I do support this as a temporary measure, and I hope to see further work done by the city in the future where we can make this area safer for pedestrians. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sosowski.
Thank you to the residents of Drake Street who have engaged with the city and with councillors over quite some time on this matter. What has become very clear to me is that this isn't simply a complaint about cars travelling a little too fast. There are a number of interconnected concerns around pedestrian safety, access to Halliday Park, parking, cyclists, and the changing nature of this part of Bayswater. I think the recommendation tonight is a sensible first step to addressing the concerns that have been raised. The installation of a temporary speed cushion, two of them, gives us an opportunity to intervene rapidly, and we can see how motorists respond, and we can monitor whether this actually changes the speed environment on Drake Street. Importantly, because these treatments are temporary, they can be adjusted or removed as the circumstances along that street change. Drake Street is changing as the Bayswater Town Centre changes, and our approach to this street also needs to evolve with that. I want to be clear that I don't see the installation of these speed cushions as resolving every issue that these residents have raised. Residents have consistently raised issues around pedestrian access to Halliday Park, general accessibility, illegal and inappropriate parking, and the dangerous interactions between cars, pedestrians, and cyclists. I accept the officer's advice that a Wombat crossing requested does not presently satisfy main roads requirements, and we shouldn't attempt to install infrastructure that doesn't meet those requirements. But that shouldn't mean we should stop looking for solutions to the underlying speed and other problems in that location. I am particularly pleased that officers have already arranged for the missing footpath section adjacent to the hotel car park to be constructed, and that's a relatively small intervention, and it responds directly to an accessibility concern which has been raised. This is the beginning of our response to the concerns of Drake Street, and that the other pedestrian, accessibility, and parking matters raised through this process should also be acted upon quickly by the city. I would encourage all councillors to support this reasonable first step forward.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll put it straight to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Next item is 10.3.2, Verge tree removal request, Elsted Way, Morley. Councillor Sutherland, are you moving the officer's recommendation?
Yes, I am.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland.
Yes, thank you. And yes, I do support the officer's recommendation to retain this tree. In my opinion, it's a sensible thing to do. The tree's healthy, structurally sound, poses no safety risk as not causing significant infrastructure damage. The primary concern obviously is seasonal leaf litter, which is obviously normal for a deciduous tree. But I do feel for the person that put this up, but I do think probably it's time to get a blow up from Bunnings to get rid of the leaves. The other thing I just want to say though is, and I also think it's important that residents feel comfortable raising these concerns with council. The fact that a policy exists should not mean we stop listening to people's grievances or refuse to consider requests. Residents have every right to bring forward issues that affects their enjoyment of their property, and council has a responsibility to hear those concerns respectively. But unfortunately for the resident in this case, I can't agree with getting rid of that tree, and I applaud the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Pittaway.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, so adding to that, as a sitting councillor for the City of Bayswater, I think it's important to make a broader point about how we approach trees within our community. There are sometimes perceptions in the community that councillors are either against trees, although we prefer to see trees removed rather than retained. I certainly don't believe that is an accurate reflection of myself or other councillors, and I think it's important that the community understands that tree management is not simply a matter of being either for or against trees. In this particular case, I cannot see sufficient compelling evidence in the officer's assessment to demonstrate that the removal of this tree is warranted under the city's urban tree planning and maintenance policy. So on that basis, I will be supporting the officer's recommendation to retain the tree as well. Supporting trees does not mean that every tree must be retained regardless of the circumstances, just as supporting the responsible removal of a tree where there is legitimate and compelling reason does not mean that we are anti-trees. Our responsibility as councillors is to look at each case on its merits, consider the evidence and balance the interests of residents with our responsibility to protect and maintain the city's urban tree planting and maintenance policy. So in this case, the evidence supports retention, and therefore I will support the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll keep my comments brief on this one. Leaf litter is a very natural process of deciduous trees, as Councillor Sutherland has mentioned. One thing I will mention is that one of the deputations mentioned a tree champion program, which may have passed council in 2024, which I believe that question's been taken on notice. Perhaps a program like this to assist not just this resident, but residents who may not have, who may require assistance due to age or due to walking ability, maintaining tree litter either on footpaths or on their front verge can be looked into, and that may assist in resolving some of these issues, especially in this case here. So very happy to support the officer's recommendation here.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So the resident that asked for the tree to be removed contacted me, as well as Councillor Sosowski, and I did look into this and try to assist and help. I would like always to ensure that our residents enjoy living in the streets that they live in, and we can try find ways to address some of the issues. And following my request, the city trimmed the tree, removed succulents, suckers, and organized sweeping. And I thought that would have been enough, but I understand that that was not enough for the residents, and they want the tree to be removed completely. That is my limit. I don't think that that is a sufficient or a good reason to remove a good, healthy tree, especially not when we are struggling to meet the tree canopy targets that we have, especially so many trees dying every summer. I also would like to make the point that I don't think this issue should have been brought before council. We already have a policy addressing that. We already had a council resolution just from a few years ago about exactly the same situation, about a complaint regarding leaves from a tree. And council made a decision on this, that is not a sufficient reason to remove a tree. I think officers' time should be directed towards other tasks. So my view to the city is that if there is a policy and there is no dilemma for the officers, it should be resolved with that. So I prefer not to see those kind of situations coming before council, especially as we did look into this quite a lot behind closed doors, behind the scenes, sorry. That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Loiacono.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you, Deputy Mayor, but I do disagree. I would like to thank the Deputy for taking the time to bring this matter to the attention of the City and Council. This past week, I've received a number of emails and seen numerous comments on Facebook expressing the view that this matter is a waste of time. I will assume that this is because it just does not align with their particular agenda or position. I want Mr. Farina to know that his concerns are definitely not a waste of my time. I would like to take this opportunity to emphasise that this is precisely the type of matter that should be brought before me and Council. A resident is very concerned, and residents deserve, actually, in my opinion, have the right to be heard and their concerns considered and tested through the Council process. Our policies are not and should never be considered to be perfect or set in stone. Circumstances change, community expectations change, and the needs of our residents can change over time. What one person considers important does not necessarily mean their neighbour feels the same way. In any event, I will be supporting the officer's recommendation. There are simply not enough compelling reasons to justify the removal of this tree. The concerns raised do not outweigh the value the tree continues to provide, and the available evidence falls well short of the threshold required to support its removal.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? If not, I'll go the mover to close.
No, I think it's all been said, thanks.
I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Okay, so that concludes the items that were subject to deputations, and we'll now move to consideration of the reports in section 10 that have been withdrawn by councillors. The first one is 10.1.1, the dog amendment local law. Councillor Pittaway, you've pulled this, but I just want to draw everyone's attention to the supplementary papers that were provided. So, Councillor Pittaway, are you moving the recommendation as in the supplementary?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I will be.
You'll be moving that?
Moving it.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Pittaway.
Thank you. I'll just make it very quick. There's not much to talk about, but I just wanted to pick up the fact that the fine for failing to pick up after your dog has been reduced now from $150 to $100. However, that should not be seen as an excuse not to do the right thing. Picking up after your dog is a basic responsibility of being a dog owner. Our parks, reserves and public open spaces are there for everyone in the community to enjoy, and nobody should have to step around someone else's dog excrement. I know this because I've got a lovely dog and we walk around Emerson. But being a responsible dog owner means cleaning up after your pet and disposing of it appropriately. We've got plenty of bins and bags, so there's no reason or no excuses. It's a simple courtesy to the rest of the community. So if you're not prepared to take on that responsibility, then perhaps you should think about twice whether owning a dog is right for you. So my advice is bag it, bin it and move on. The fine may have changed, but the responsibility hasn't. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Loiacono. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll put it straight to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. The next item is 10.2.1, financial report period ended 31 July 2026. Nobody's pulled this but requires an absolute majority. Do I have a mover? Move Councillor Ladder, seconded Councillor Black. Councillor Ladder, anything? Councillor Black. Anyone wish to speak on this? I'll put it straight to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. We'll now move to adopt the remaining items in section 10 en bloc. Can I have a mover? Move Councillor McDonald, seconded Councillor Ladder. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Item 11 is notice of motion, and there are none this evening. Item 12, questions from members without notice. Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I please get an update from the City on the progress of the recruitment of the Heritage Officer, please?
I will go to the Director.
Thanks, Madam Mayor, through you. Thanks for the question. So the council resolution was to look for create this position under existing budget and FTE. So I've been reviewing the existing work that we have in place and exploring some of the opportunities that we have within our teams and where we could find that resource. So that's been happening. We've also been in touch with Keith, the president of the Maylands Historical Association, set up a meeting to talk through exactly what are the needs that they are looking for to help us to draft responsibilities and duties that would sit in a position description to actually create this position, because it's not a position that we currently have. So that's occurring at the moment. I would like to note that we are running some heritage workshops in conjunction with both associations. We've got some presentations in our libraries and at the golf course. So there is work that is ongoing whilst this other work is occurring.
Just to follow up, Madam Mayor, if that's okay. The director mentions that the city has reached out to Keith from the Maylands Historical. Would that also be taking place, I assume, with the Bayswater Historical Society for that consultation for the role and its responsibilities?
I'll go to the director.
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, be both.
Any other questions? If not, I will now close this evening's meeting at 7:47 p.m.